Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You wanted to see what it looks like before the show. This is what it looks like.
It feels like a rock concert.
That makes you the rock star, right?
Also, I've got to mention that a certain Kimberly Cox plays the best-looking damsel in distress I ever met.
Oh, yes. Yes. Our girl.
So, Jamie, tell us a little bit about your character and what you think is, what the reaction is going to be when people see her in this film.
My character is, her name is Lorelei, and Frank described her to me as the angel of death. It's been funny talking to Frank recently because he seems to have a fascination with me playing any kind of an angel, and I think he wants to see more of that. And Lorelei, she's essentially the angel of death for cops and sailors, and as we know, Spirit has been very close to death, and she has an extreme love and infatuation for him. And the wonderful thing about Lorelei is she's this kind of mystery character that is woven throughout the film, and she goes from extreme love and adoration to extreme rage and anger, and every time the spirit gets knocked out, she's trying to, you know, beckon him to come to her, and when that doesn't happen, she's not a very happy woman.
But one of the ways that you realize that the spirit is a noble hero is that look what he's willing to give up.
To stay and help the people.
And the other ladies.
And the other
Central City, which there are plenty of.
And he notices them all the time.
Jamie, obviously there was a lot of green screen in this type of film. Talk about that as an acting challenge for you.
You know, I first learned about green screen when Frank and Robert Rodriguez and I did Sin City, and it was really interesting because Robert really taught me how liberating green screen really was, because essentially you're not having to stop all the time to reset like the teapot in the background or to relight everything, and it's really, to me, it's just going back to like when you're a child and you're making everything up inside of you. Everything that we need is inside, and that's what we do through acting, is just accessing that truth, and that's the cool thing about green screen, is you're just bringing that forward, and it's like play. It's like, you know, bringing your imagination out. And what I love about it also that I noticed that Robert taught me and Frank taught me is that it allows you to get the cast that you want, you know, because you can get people in and out very quickly, you can shoot them out pretty fast, and it's just, and then you can drop everything into the background, and it's pretty amazing, because when you're doing it, you don't know what anything's going to look like, but then when you see it, you're just, it's just stunning, you know. We're on this new, it's like a whole new day and age with the technology and filmmaking. I believe it's like a whole new revolution of what's going to happen, and when you have people like, you know, Deborah and Frank and these people that really can get together and tell a great story in a way that's never been told before, because visually it's just so intoxicating.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And then, Deb, you looked like you wanted to say something.
Well, I was just thinking maybe we should show that little clip of some of the technology at this point. I don't know if you're ready for that, but, you know.
I don't know. Does anybody want to see more from the movie? Or... Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it to it.
First off,
wait, I think Frank wants to
a
intro.
couple words of introduction.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Whoa.
Look who's a director.
A couple of words of introduction. It'll be worth the wait. The Sans Serif is a lover of jewelry, and she has a lead on the most unspeakably valuable treasure of all time. And she has to do a lot of swimming, and she's played by Eva Mendes, which means in one of my movies, a very, very tight swimsuit.
Surprised?
Now, filming underwater is what we, the technical term for it is a fucking nightmare. But there is nothing that replaces the movement of the hair. Through technology that probably started in the Pentagon and ended up in our dirty hands, we found a phantom camera that was able to shoot slower than death. And Eva Mendes was one of the first to work with it. All the scenes you're about to see were shot dry. There wasn't an ounce of water in them. And Eva was given the instruction to act like the Flash. So everything she did that would take a minute was going by in a couple of seconds. And that's the remarkable thing about her performance, Jamie's as well, in the Lorelei sequence. But what we're showing you is Eva underwater in a wetsuit.
Now, one other thing, just so you know, when we first discussed this, when we were talking about this with our technology people, we said, okay, the other issue for me, besides the hair, is that when you see somebody underwater in comics, they look great. Their makeup's perfect because, you know, there's no water. So we wanted these characters to look like the drawing characters, and the only way to get there is to not actually have water. But until now, to do that was really not as, you weren't able to do it. This camera and a lot of other techniques, and a lot of people in this movie, including Sam, he also gets to be underwater and swim without swimming. So now we should show some.
Well, yeah, and also I'd like to add that a lot of people don't understand how hard actors work. It's a lot of very, very hard work. I would challenge anyone in this audience to keep the pace that Jamie King did during the day we shot Lorelei.
Yeah.
By now you know there's actually no clip, right?
That's where your imagination comes in. Pretend you're on a green screen, imagine it.
And it was fairly early in the Eva Mendes sequence that I noticed that her the ends of her fingers were looking a little purple, and asked her to take her glove off. And she'd broken every nail in her hand and hadn't said a word to anybody. Eva was a trooper. She was a very hard worker, very eager to get the job done, and complained not a bit. And I've got to say the same is true of pretty much the entire cast. So let's go to Eva.
Here we go.